together, we can rule the galaxy far from sun.
Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy friends, it is Joe. And as I had said in previous shows, we're going to try to spice things up a little bit this year in 2026 with some new content, some new additions to the regular run-of-the-mill Rule the Galaxy podcast that we do. And I've got some friends of mine who are over in the UK, and they have been kind enough to come on the show in the past. And so we're toying around with some names right now. We Joe had thought of London Calling, Across the Pond, but right now I think I'm sticking on Bits and Bobs. So we might call this the Rule the Galaxy Bits and Bobs segment. But one of our guests is lucky enough to be here today. The other one is way above our pay grade and just couldn't make it. But I'm joined by our friend over at Fantha Tracks and Making Tracks, Mark Mulcaster. Mark, how are you, sir?
Hello. I'm very well, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. And I love that we can spend 20 minutes, you and I, just having a chat before we ever hop on and cover all kinds of things going on in the world. So, yeah, glad to have you.
Yeah, seriously. Me and Mark, we'll say, oh, let's record an episode of Making Tracks at 1 o'clock. And then one of us will be like, oh, it's like 2:10. We should probably hit record and start recording. By which point, all the good content's been said. So
I'm thinking that from now on, I'm going to hit record no matter what show I'm doing, not post it out live or anything like that, but just hit record, keep all of that content, and then just chop some of it up and put it in. Because you're right, you get some really good content out of the way and you don't realize it, and then you miss it. So
yes.
It's
funny, isn't it? It's like, it's amazing what happens when the tally light, as it were, goes red, and you hit record, and suddenly all your great kind of like thoughts and theories and like, and also sometimes, you know, because I know that Rule of Galaxy is a bit like Fantha Tracks. We're very positive about the franchise, but sometimes like the raw, honest opinions come out before you hit record, and then you hit record and you're like, it's a little bit more smoothed over, shall we say?
The pre-recording is that kind of wasn't that great. I'm having a hard time with it. And then you get on the air and you're like, it's better than I thought. I kind of like that.
God bless Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah.
So everybody who's listening right now is getting the inside scoop on what it's like in the podcasting world, especially in the Star Wars podcasting world.
Absolutely.
So Mark, I know you and I were just speaking real quick before we actually jump in. Now it's right there in the middle of winter. We're both, space heaters at our feet to keep us warm while we're doing the show. It's just, I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for summer. But that springtime will be great because we will be getting our first Star Wars movie in 7 years.
7 years. Rise of Skywalker 2019. Yeah, do you know what? It's one of those things, isn't it? Because we've been lucky enough to have live action streaming Star Wars and also animated Star Wars. It feels like actually not that long a gap. But when you think about it, you're like, yeah, gee whiz, it's been a while, and that was like something I was like, well, everybody's talking about at the moment the fact that there doesn't seem to be a huge marketing push for the film. Everybody's like, oh, we're like, we're now probably 96 days out or something. I don't know, I can't do math, but yeah, something like that, 100 days out. Oh, we should be seeing this and that, and it's just like, yeah, but I'm like, well, actually, yeah, we probably should, but because we have other stuff, and like, they dropped the Maul trailer, and in fact, actually, I think it was last night as we recorded on Friday the 13th, I saw the trailer for Star Wars Racer, like the full kind of Racer trailer, which looks pretty cool. So
I've been so busy with work, and then we recorded the standard Rule of the Galaxy yesterday as well, and I haven't even gotten a chance to watch that yet. So I'm really excited to check that out. I am not a gamer, but I would much rather, I'd rather watch someone play the game and see all the cool stuff in it. But I'm glad that there's something new coming out. And everybody that I've talked to has said, we were all about the pod racing game back around Phantom Menace days.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
if it's going to be a racing gamer like that, all for it.
Me too. I mean, so I got it would have been Christmas before last. I got Star Wars Outlaws, and I put the disc in Christmas Day. Naively thinking I would have time to sit down and play for a good couple of hours. And by the time I actually did all the downloads and updates and stuff, that was it. I didn't have any time to do it. But then when I loaded it on Boxing Day, so the 26th, day after, played for about an hour. I then just kind of had to go to see my parents. So I put the controller down, didn't touch it till like September or something like that, and September, October. And then I was like, I should probably give it another go. And I put it in, started again. I was like, actually, this is really good. I've really enjoyed playing it. I don't play it on like any particularly high level. I play it on story mode basically because I
Okay.
kind of want to just kind of get through the game just to kind of get the story and stuff. I'm not really too kind of fussed about challenging myself, partly because even on story mode, which is the easiest mode, it's still challenging for me. But the problem is with games like that is that you do have to commit quite a lot of time. When you sit down, you can't just kind of drop
Yeah.
into it for like 10 minutes like like you can do obviously in a mobile game, but how you used to with like stuff like Pod Racer, where you could just kind of jump in, play a couple of races, and then if you had to go and do homework or whatever, you can go and do that. So I'm hoping that it's going to be the same kind of mentality, something that we can just drop in, play a bit, and then keep it nice and simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Doesn't need to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. You need to make it for the masses. Honestly,
Yeah.
there are so many people who are Star Wars fans who are like me, who would say, I'm not really into playing games. I don't have the dexterity to kind of
Hmm.
put my mind with my hands to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a Star Wars Legos kind of those games on the Wii
Yes.
and all those kind of
Yeah.
things. Those are fun for me because they're
Yeah.
simple. I
Yeah.
don't need, and you're right, the commitment of the story where it's like, okay, this is going to take days to get
Yeah.
through this. I just don't have the time for it. So
Yeah, I think when I last checked, I'd clocked up it's like 69 hours of gameplay on Outlaws. And now some of that is me because you go to all these different planets and then you have a
mhm.
main quest, but you have all these side quests. And I'm one of these annoying people that I kind of like to try and exhaust the area that I'm in before I move on, just because I don't like
Sure.
repetition and going back. So I've probably spent more time trying to do stuff, or maybe try and do kind of parts of the game that weren't open to me necessarily because my skill set or my level wasn't high enough, or like I didn't have the right blaster to blow a rock up, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so now I'm on Tatooine, which is kind of like it's really nice. It's this weird kind of homely feeling. I feel anyway, whenever you return to Tatooine in a
Yeah.
computer game, there's something kind of quite nice and familiar. We like the game starts off in Canto Bight, which is a film location that wasn't, we don't really know much about, which is kind of fun. When you go to some of these other locations, which I don't think they're not in the films or anything like that. So it's like Tashara and some I can't even really remember, but they're EU planets, I'd imagine. If Newbold was here, he'd be able to tell you exactly where they were on the galaxy map. So
Yep.
again, you've got shortchanged with me, but however, that's how it is. So yeah, but from what I can see from that trailer, it looks like there's a mixture of environments, and what's fun is like it seems to be kind of like sequel trilogy environments as well, like Jakku and that. And actually, it seems like you play different, or you could play different types of vehicles. So you could kind of play like on a swoop bike and do swoop races,
Okay.
as well as kind of more like it's not. I don't think I saw actual any pod races. They're more like land speeders, and I think the one that kind of caught my eye looked very similar to the one that Han Solo has in Solo, which is
Okay.
kind of a little bit blocky and quite wide and stuff. So yeah, so I think they're kind of challenging the Disney era kind of like game content that they could do. And I'm sure obviously if we go to loads of different places, I mean, you'd expect a pod race, wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, racing racing seems like a given, and
mm,
people just want to do it. Like, I think you're right on the comment you made of, I hope it's something where you can hop in, do a race,
yeah,
hop back out, move on to the next one in a new location or in a different ship or what have you, and just keep moving through that way, because having to do something where you have to keep achieving things, that's not for me. I'm okay with bouncing
Yeah.
around and trying it all out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that came out. But back to what you were saying.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned something. You mentioned about
Mm,
feeling at home in Tatooine.
yeah.
I have to ask you, with looking at the Mando and Grogu little commercial that came
Yeah.
out,
The
and then
commercial. Yeah.
seeing the all the things with AT-ATs and seeing the things in the snow, are we going to feel back at home on Hoth, or is this going to be a bait and switch like we did in The Force Awakens and
Mm.
Tatooine, Jakku? You can't tell the difference, but we'll tell you when you get to the movie. Is this, do you think it's a return, or do you think it's something new?
I think really it will probably be a new planet. I mean, it would
Okay.
be cool to. It would be. No pun intended. It would be cool to go back to Hoth, right? And actually, I think it would be like visually. You think it would be kind of what, almost 10 years or so, depending on when they've set this film. But let's assume that it is. It runs
Yeah.
concurrently, so ends after season 3. It would be kind of interesting to go back and explore like an abandoned Echo base, like as a kind of like an echo of Echo base.
Oh.
God, ooh, look at that! Yeah. But at the same time, you kind of go, well, they probably will just do a new planet. I mean, because they had that snow planet in Solo as well, didn't they? Where they went and they did the heist, the actual,
Yes.
with the range troopers and stuff. So
And the train and the blowing up of the tracks and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Correct?
The real kind of Western cowboy kind of
Right.
like hijack, and so it could even be that one, and top marks for people who are calling out to their speakers, going, "It's this planet," because I can't remember what it is. But that's kind of, I guess, part and parcel of what happens when you expand the galaxy, isn't it? So
It is. And let's face it, here in the real world, there are more than one place where it snows quite a bit, and
yeah,
there's more than one place where there's desert terrain. So yes. Now, with you guys being there in excuse me, the UK,
yeah.
during the Super Bowl commercial, did you guys see the kind of explosion of discussion about that little fun commercial that they did with Mando and Grogu? Or was it, okay, that was cool to see Tauntauns and they're in the snow? Because here, people were losing their minds on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're kind of making this a joke. You're kind of making it look like a beer commercial and it's just for fun. But is this really something that's going to be part of the movie? So it was just like seen as, hey, you're kind of making a farce of what we're thinking this movie's going to be.
Yeah. We don't. We get the Super Bowl, and my brother
Sure.
stayed up to watch it because I think it started over here about 10:30 on Sunday night, Sunday evening. So
Yes,
that's kind of like that's a school night for me. So I was fast asleep by then, and he works for himself, so he could just take the day off. So however, so we obviously don't get to see the commercials as they go out,
right?
And normally what happens, because over here we don't have quite so many commercials as you guys do in the States. So like for a lot of the commercials, when you watch American football, they would just throw back to the studio and they would maybe comment on the play-by-play and stuff like that, for just before they called a timeout, saying, check me out with all this football terminology.
No,
I'm
I love
impressed
it.
with myself. Yeah. So I saw it that morning, just and it was just by chance, because I think I was like, oh, and it kind of came up, and again, it's probably I think I saw it on like Facebook feeds or something, which is where a lot of the Star Wars kind of trailers and that I see first, probably these days, just by happy accident. And so I watched it, and I was like, okay. Now, I kind of so for me, I kind of got that it wasn't like a serious kind of spot, but obviously not necessarily being steeped in like American culture or pop culture and that kind of stuff like that. The kind of joke kind of went over my head a little bit, I mean, if they were like loft cats or something going, Budweiser or something like that. Or then I might have got it. But this one was kind of like, it felt like quite a deep cut to me. And
Yes.
so I don't know. I mean, did you get it straight away? I mean, or yeah.
We talked about it, and it basically was like, this is kind of like a beer commercial during the Super Bowl. It just happens to be Star Wars, because we're used to seeing Clydesdales for Budweiser. We're used to seeing two guys on the the what am I looking for? The what is that, wagon? Yeah.
Wagon.
So that they were dragging along. So when we saw the feet going, like you'd see the Clydesdales, but it's the Tauntauns, we were like, are we getting a beer commercial in Star Wars? What's going on here? But I think we all, as the Rule of the Galaxy crew, we all kind of said, okay, we get the joke. We get it. It's fun. And we discussed that we really think that there's going to be enough real marketing coming up over the next few months that this was a way to kind of spark the interest and be fun at the same time.
I think so. I mean, the thing is that the problem these days with when you promote a film, there's only so much content that the creators, the director, and that will want people to see ahead of time.
Correct.
And it's that whole thing, isn't it, of like, when you see like a teaser trailer or like a theatrical trailer, chances are it's probably going to be stuff in the first 15-20 minutes a lot of times, and so the problem with that is that in the way that like we consume media these days, once you've seen that TV spot or once you've seen that trailer a few dozen times, it kind of washes over you. So it's a way, I think, to kind of have a conversation about the film without necessarily needing to show anything. Now, the problem is, of course, I think a lot of people were expecting to see a Mando and Grogu TV spot, which was like the actual trailer, the theatrical trailer. Right. And so you kind of, I think what it meant to me was like, well, that's quite a bold swing to spend what I think was reportedly somewhere between like $7 and $10 million on a TV spot on something that I don't imagine it's going to be in the actual film. It's purely they just created it for this Super Bowl thing. And you're like, okay, well, maybe they came in like $10 million under budget, and Jon Favreau just pitched it and went, do you know what? Let's just use it, because if we don't use it, then they'll cut our budget next time. So so
it's like they're part of the government then, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I was kind of like, it's cool, it's cute, and that's the thing, And I mean, over here in the IMAX, so when I went to see Avatar: Fire and Ice, so Avatar 3 in 3D in IMAX, they had the teaser trailer in 3D, so they had the Mando Grogu trailer in 3D, which was cool.
Sure.
And then and I think you guys get over there. Like when you go to an IMAX presentation, they normally do this kind of big kind of countdown thing, and like the numbers fly up the screen and stuff like that. Or they do it does over here. Well, so just before the Avatar, they had it was one of these countdown kind of clocks, like 10, 9, 8, 7, but it was all Mando and Grogu themed. So the whole kind of thing, which was really surprising, because that I was not expecting. And the one thing I noticed, and same with this Super Bowl ad, was they weren't just kind of saying, come in May 2022 or May 22nd. It was coming to IMAX, and they're really pushing the IMAX presentation for this, which is quite interesting. So, and because like normally like you'd be like, it'll be, in cinemas now or in theaters now, but like I think we might see them really pushing the prestige kind of format. So IMAX, 4DX, Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, all these kind of things that you pay an extra uplift onto like your monthly subscription if you've got like a unlimited kind of cinema kind of card, which is what we do over here. So that's what I'm thinking. So I think they're kind of trying to push people towards seeing it in IMAX and stuff.
I hadn't really even thought about that or noticed that. We have some IMAX. I mean, it's it's prevalent to where like each major city has one or two, but
right,
they're not out there like the mass theaters, right? So I've yet to see a Star Wars movie at an IMAX kind of setup. I've
Oh, really? Oh,
never done
wow.
that.
So,
So
yeah, so I mean, well, I'm obviously quite close to London, but so there's so we've got a chain of cinemas called Odeon, and they have a prestige cinema called Odeon Lux, which is Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. So Dolby Atmos is it's like the latest version of like surround sound, but it's not surround sound. It's like you basically put actual like sound effects in 3D space. So it's like so you have more speakers basically. That's what it comes down to.
nice. Okay.
And Dolby Vision is the HDR brand basically. So for cinema, that means that the screen is twice as bright as it would be standard. So I won't bore you with the numbers, but it means that you can also have extended like luminance and greater contrast. So it looks punchier, and lightsabers look slightly more realistic in that.
Okay.
And so something like that. So that's in London, and there's in a few other kind of cities and big towns around the UK. But like to pay for a ticket to go and see Rise of Skywalker, so this is 6 years ago, it was £49 for a single ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, which comes back to something that I distinctly remember George Lucas saying back before he'd sold the company, that cinema will end up being like going to the theater. It will be like an event, and it won't just be, you spend $10 on a ticket, you spend, a fairly substantial amount to
Right.
go. And I'm like, okay, so this is kind of like happening now already. So then suddenly, if your ticket for Mando and Grogu and you see it in an Odeon Lux and there's 400 seats in this like auditorium, let's say, for example, and they're $49 or $50 a seat, then actually
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need people to go and see it in 2D. You want them to go and see it in the prestige thing, because you know that your film's only going to be in the box office for like maybe 3 weeks, and then give it 6 weeks or 12 weeks, and then it'll be on Disney Plus.
There you go. I like
So
it. More compact, more bang for your buck for them.
yeah,
Okay. I get it.
that's just my take.
So
So
I'm a big believer that this film, they're going to try to recapture uh the, the child crowd, the youthful crowd, because it's a fun adventure with a baby Grogu and the Babu Freak kind of guy and things like that.
yeah.
And to go along with that, we just saw in the last 2 days a lot of dropping of Black Series and action figures and
Yes.
vintage and Lego sets, and I I'm all for that, because I think let's face it, The Rise of Skywalker, did they release hardly anything for that? I mean, it was almost dead in the water by the time that came around. They really said, okay, we're going to release these, and oh, now they're gone. This seems like they're going guns blazing. And
Yeah.
from what we discussed the other day, it looks like there's maybe some exclusives to where Target here in the US, Walmart here in the US, they're going to be some different color boxing, some different molds of the figures, things like that that kind of stand out. So
Yeah. Well, that is interesting, isn't it? I mean, yeah, they are going to town, and to be fair, I think we've kind of, when you think about it, I think like the Mandalorian, the series and the films, is probably the most toyetic of like the new
yeah,
streaming series. I mean, the Andor figures kind of, I don't even really think they kind of really put out many Andor figures. I mean, I know they did a lot of kind of retro figures. They do like a retro range for Ahsoka and stuff like that. But we're talking about 8 figures, and it's
right.
and to be fair, actually with Ahsoka, there's probably only about 8 characters when you think about it. Like that you'd probably want to have as figures. So yeah, it's. I mean, it's cute, obviously. Grogu's always
Mhm.
been cute, so so it's great, isn't it? You kind of think I'm kind of surprised they didn't put some of this stuff out earlier, because like this is a perfect kind of fodder for Valentine's Day, isn't it? Like get your
The
girlfriend or
cuteness.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get like a plushy kind of Grogu or what have you. So yeah, but that's cool. It's good because like we haven't, like over here in the last year or so, or 2 years, like there's been nothing really in the stores, you know.
Well, we get, I mean, what is it? Don't they usually use like 4 to 8 characters, something like that, when they come out with a
Yeah.
batch every so many months? They'll say, hey, we're going to release here. And it's usually hodgepodge. It's a mixture of newer characters they haven't done,
Repacks and all
maybe
that, yeah.
exactly. And repacks. So now to say, okay, guys, here's a line of new troopers, different styles of troopers. Here's a line of X-Wing pilot kind of setups, mixing in some of the normal characters that we're used to with Mando, Grogu. Now we're getting new Zeb,
Yeah.
things like that. I think if marketed correctly and done the right way with the toy sets they're bringing out for this, and if it, we were discussing how grandfathers and fathers, grandmothers, mothers are going to be able to take 4 and 5-year-old kids to go see Mando and Grogu because it's a fun, action-packed show, right? Like we're not worried about Count Dooku getting decapitated. We're not worried about Anakin burning up in the lava. I mean, we're
PG,
more
yeah.
There's going to be obviously action and danger, but in a PG format where kids can really go and enjoy it and want to buy the figures that they're seeing out there.
Which is what they need. I mean, it's what you call over here mild peril or like fantasy violence. It's some of those kind of disclaimers you get, which you're like, who came up with that? Like, whose job is it to come up with all these kind of like trigger warnings and stuff like that? But yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, at its core, Mando and Grogu, it's a buddy movie. It's like it's kind of a buddy cop kind of thing, isn't it? Really, it's like two people who are kind of slightly distinctly different, and they kind of they form a bond and go on adventures. So it's just a fact that one doesn't really talk much, so it kind of makes it a bit of a one-sided conversation.
Yes.
But I also I think with this one you're going to see a lot of humor, and I think from what I'd kind of heard scuttlebutt around was like, like Mando's kind of obviously the straight guy, Grogu kind of is there for a lot of comic relief. And so you kind of think again, they're probably either, and I would think less directly, but I'm guessing there's a part of this that is going to be very memeable. It's kind of like it's for little stuff that will kind of end up being a meme or something, or a GIF that you just use to reply to somebody in a Facebook Messenger chat or something like that. You know what? We all do it. So, and when you get to that kind of thing, that's how like pop culture these days stays
correct
in the zeitgeist. It's not it's not about getting like $1 billion kind of plus on the box office as such. It's about how do you get these things to kind of like stand out and kind of like head and shoulders above all the other kind of memes, all the other kind of like stuff that's come out, like other streaming shows and what have you.
It really is. When you get into the mainstream society to where they know to reply to something with something from Grogu, how many times have we seen Grogu take that sip of coffee? Like people who've maybe seen the show once use that as a response to people. I mean, it's something silly just like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, the best kind of stuff like that is when it transcends genres as well. And that's when, you'd think it will kind of end up in a Family Guy show or maybe something else. When stuff gets, when it makes
Simpsons,
it South
Family
Park
Guy,
or Simpsons, exactly. And it's like, okay, now we're here. Now it's kind of in, So it's just
if you're I know you were looking at some of the figures or the sets. Are there any of those that stand out to you where you're like, that's really drawing my attention? I could see myself adding this to my collection, or that'll be popular with either collectors or kids or what have you. Do you see anything standing out? Because I thought some of the Lego sets look great. I want the new Razor Crest with the Lego set. It's got a Zeb with it. It looked fantastic.
Yeah, the Lego stuff. I mean, it is kind of cool, isn't it? I mean, I'm not really a Lego collector, man. I mean, to be fair, I think it's cool. But you are now.
I am now.
I mean, it's cool because what I'm liking about the Lego stuff is that it's they've done the and this is the interesting thing, isn't it? They've done the like for Razor Crest, which is great because you can recreate like the actual Razor Crest from the series as well just by dropping it.
Yeah.
But it's like you've got the ATRT and the turret,
Hmm.
which kind of like to me kind of like reminds me of the Probot and turret vintage Kenner playset,
Oh, yes.
which I haven't got, but it's like it's my grail item that I desperately want, and every single one I keep on coming across for box is really naff, and I want one in a really decent box. So,
Right.
sorry, a tangent. So but yeah, I mean the Lego stuff is cool, but also that is something that I think is probably the most like multi-generationally accessible because kids really get Lego
Hmm.
and the grown-ups get Lego. And whereas I think the problem is with like the Black Series stuff, partly the price point for
Yep.
a figure is pretty steep. But it's slightly more geared up to collectors. Like we don't tend to get a huge amount of Black Series in the brick and mortar stores. You have to go
Oh,
online
yeah.
to, in demand or Star Action figures to kind of get this stuff. And I don't collect the 6-inch. All through the sequel trilogy and including Solo, it was still 3 3/4 inch. So I got all
Good for
those 3
you.
3/4 inch figures. Yeah. Not the vintage collection. I had loads of those, but again, I missed a couple of waves, so I kind of moved. I just moved it all on because I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go back. But the actual like figures that came out on the movie packaging,
Hmm.
yeah, got all that because that to me is like, I think it's kind of cool in
Well, and I
itself.
think I think you're right. It's very difficult for a kid to have a playtime, for example, with
Mm,
6-inch Black Series. And not to say that it's that easy now with the 3 3/4, because let's face it, when I was growing up, 3 3/4 were what, $2, something like that. And now
yeah,
to see a kid, a mom and dad say, I'm going to have to go spend 12 or $14 for every 3 3/4 that I'm going to buy, that adds up really quick. It's hard to build an army of troopers to go and face the Mandalorian and Grogu that you've got if they're each 12 to 14
yeah.
bucks.
You've got to wait for them to be reduced.
Yes.
And the thing, and that will probably happen, but it'll probably just happen after Christmas, probably. So, um, but it's good. I'm glad actually that
Yeah.
they're doing stuff. Now I mean I've seen the Black Series. Have they done any 3 3/4 inch scale stuff? Has that just not come into my newsfeed yet? Or
I thought I saw some coming
have
out,
they done?
especially of like some of the troopers, but I don't have it up in front of me. And
Yeah,
and be,
I'm
yeah,
looking, but I can only see stuff. And to be fair, the Sigourney Weaver Colonel Ward figure looks pretty cool. I mean,
it,
that probably will be a figure I might get because as I cosplay pilots and stuff, I have a few pilots dotted around the place. So yeah, that's quite cool.
I
So
thought the way they did these looked really good. And we were discussing how not only can the helmet come off, but then the visor can either go up or be taken off
yeah,
to where that's a different look for them as well. So yeah, I'm impressed with the direction they're going. I mean, let's face it, we all wish that it used to be like the old days and you could go out and buy handfuls of these things and fill a cart like when Phantom Menace came out, right? And you could just
right, yeah,
pile them in and walk out of Toys R Us or whatever. That ship has sailed. But I'm at least glad. I feel like they're doing some playable things to where a kid could get a Mando Grogu 2 pack and then get, some troopers or whatever,
yeah.
to where they could have some fun playtime with that. And maybe I'm again speaking out of the side of my behind here, because who knows if kids really would want to go and play with those. I don't know.
It's
Um,
it's hard. It's hard to know. I mean, I don't. The kids in the house are 18 and 20, so don't and so the next kid and the kid who's more likely to buy them is like me, and I'm 44.
yeah.
But then if I buy that stuff, it doesn't tend to get taken out of its package, and it certainly doesn't get played with. It might get
Mm,
set up on a shelf, and but then that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the you want Mando and Grogu to be like one of your main characters. But I know Hasbro always said like, they always have to put out a Vader and they always need to put out like, they had to put out like a Luke or a Han.
right.
But you kind of think, well, nowadays it probably is like we need to put out Mandalorian and Grogu because those are the figures and the franchise kind of era that they want, collectors and especially kids and stuff to kind of like latch onto, So it's
We
like it's next generation stuff.
Yeah, and I think seeing the direction this is going and seeing that this is coming out, getting the excitedness of going back to a theater, then you have Starfighter next year that I'm very excited about. I don't see any negativity, or I don't feel any negative vibes on that at all right now. But to
No.
say that those possibly are the two tentpole movies that are going to start this new era, that gives me some positive vibes. That gives me some excitedness that, look, everybody said we can't keep going back to the well. Every movie can't be a Skywalker movie, right? To bring
Yeah.
the behinds and the seats. But I don't feel like these are a major drop off to where people. The Solo movie, while everybody wanted it to be Harrison Ford and all that, the Solo movie, people were like, okay, can I fill the seats for this, because we're doing a whole different thing with different characters, and that's not Harrison Ford, right? But with this, we're like, hey, we're starting fresh.
Yeah.
We're moving forward. We're going into maybe the Mando universe that we want to go in and put all these pieces together. Pre-sequels, post-sequels. I don't know. I just felt a lot of optimism thinking about the direction we're going. And then you add in, obviously, that we're going to get the original, basically the originals of A New Hope next year.
Yeah.
And there's reasons to be excited to think we're going to see 3 Star Wars movies in theaters over a year's time.
Yeah, which is fantastic. At least,
Yeah.
and it could be 5 when you think about it. If they do the whole trilogy, if they re-release the whole trilogy, which if you're gonna restore and release like a New Hope, then you might as well just do the other 2, because it's like, just to do it, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
because I don't think you're going to get like a celebration really for the 50th anniversary of Empire, and it's definitely not the 50th anniversary of like Return of Jedi. By that point, it's like it's Star Wars. Next year it's going to be like the year of Star Wars, like the year of Star Wars since probably Force Awakens, definitely, and probably not since like Phantom Menace, really. For those who are long enough in the tooth who can remember that far back. So
Yeah.
but
you're right, because I mean, let's think about it. They're not going to do a 50th of The Force Awakens. They're not going to do a 50th of The Phantom Menace, right? I mean, they could probably release it, but it's not going to be the big show that next year is.
No, exactly. So, because I think it's that culmination of like the celebration of the franchise, because that's what you can do, isn't it? With the you mark basically all the celebrations, because that's the thing now. We had films coming out fairly close together for back in the for 2010s and stuff. So one a year. So every year could be some kind of form of anniversary for something or other. But then, it's you don't move on as such. It's like you said, on some levels, you're always kind of looking back, not necessarily looking forward.
I don't think it's a bad thing to say, hey, we're going to do a week or 2 long release of a movie that's 10 or 20 years old. I think that's a really good thing. And people who have never seen them in the theater can then go back and do that. But you're right. This is kind of the blowout. I've been talking to our crew, and I've been talking to my wife. They've been talking to their wives. And while we've been to some celebrations, I mean, it is something that we're putting on the calendar and saying, I mean, we're going to have to do everything we can to be in California for that.
Me and Newbold exactly the same. So we said it. And the thing is, like, my wife was born in 1977, so it's her 50th birthday next year. So
wow.
So so I've had to kind of negotiate for that with all best intention, because obviously until you've brought the tickets for celebration, it's hard to say you're going to celebration because people miss out. But the intention is to go to celebration, but then also do something for a 50th, in a few months after that. So yes,
being in California, going to Disneyland, checking out the coast, that's a great 50th right there.
Well, that's what I said, but she wants to do a cruise. So I was like, well, we'll go to Anaheim. We'll do the whole Star Celebration. Let's fly down to Florida and do like a cruise to the Caribbean. But now she's like, no, because that's not close enough to her birthday. So but that's fine because it means it gives me a chance to financially recoup for a couple of months and then do a cruise. So
No,
and also we booked that already. We've booked a cruise, so I'm already paying for that. So hopefully, come celebration, that's already done and dusted. So, I hope I don't have to get one of those patches that says "too poor for celebration," but you never know.
Well, I hated that I missed the recent ones, and so it's on the agenda, and everybody's talking about it, and I can only imagine the dollar amounts are going to be able to get because everybody's thinking the same thing. I mean, people who are friends of the show have even said, I'm thinking about doing that as well. Or, hey, you guys going up there, we'll follow you out. And I'm thinking, oh man, if everybody's thinking those same things, they'll be able to charge whatever, and the lodging will be able to charge whatever, and
pretty
could
much
be crazy.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, so we could all be camping out. Basically, is what you're saying. Yeah,
we could all be sharing a big Airbnb together. Something that came up the other night. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if you and Mr. Newbold were Jar Jar Binks aficionados or not. But did you see the comic about Jar Jar?
I've seen the comic. I haven't read the comic, but yeah.
Okay.
Have you read it? Have you seen it?
No, I actually haven't been to a comic book store in a while because I know when I go in there, it'll get me rehooked again, and I'll start spending X amount of dollars per month on comics. But I did see a recap of it, so I'm not going to spoil it. If you're going to read it, just know it looks like it's taking us on a wild ride.
Okay.
And, I legitimately left watching some of these videos and reading some articles going, all right, I can live with this. This is kind of interesting how they're tying things in.
So are they tying? So I mean, obviously, because it's Marvel comics, so it's canon now. So is this kind of like tying up his story, as it were, like where he ends up? Or I mean, I don't.
It's more from what I can see. It's more flashback to times when he's figuring some things out and going in a different direction from being the bumbling idiot that we all assume him to be.
Yeah.
And no, it's not going to Darth Jar Jar, so don't worry about that.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Yeah. No, I mean, I've been meaning to like you. So basically, full disclaimer, earlier this year, I auctioned off all my 2015 Marvel comics. They've all gone. So yeah, I'm kind of now in remission, as it were. So I don't necessarily want to, start collecting comics again. However, the point was to kind of make the space and then possibly look at trying to read them digitally, on an iPad or something like that. So I might go down that route, and a one shot's probably a good way of kind of doing it without getting, hopefully too hooked.
It's one thing that I'm gonna have to stay away from because I've got my wife and I in a good spot now to where she's like, hey, I get it when that rare figure or collectible that you want comes around. That makes sense. Get it. We're busy. We're traveling. We're funding grandkids' birthdays and Christmases and everything like that now. Yeah. But because she likes puzzles so much, I've gotten her talked into doing more Legos. I've never a Lego guy. I didn't have the patience, but I also didn't have the patience for jigsaw puzzles. Fair enough. With her passion for those and me liking Star Wars, we've kind of put it together to where we'll do Star Wars Legos.
Dude, that's genius because that's it. That's you. I think you've hit it there. That's how you kind of go, well, it's basically a 3D puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. And I will say, I mean, you've been with your significant other for quite a while. I've been with my wife now for almost 35 years.
Wow.
And you have to find, she knows my craziness level for Star Wars, and I know her disdain for Star Wars fairly well. So if we can find those few things that we go, hey, we can work on this together,
Yeah.
It really makes sense in the relationship. So
Yes. So similarly, actually, I think it started during lockdown, and everybody's locked down. We're bored, nothing to do, and Karen always likes to kind of. She's quite creative and artsy, crafty and stuff. But she started doing like paint by numbers, right?
mhm.
Because it's one of those things that actually once you've filled in all the numbers and stuff, it just looks like you've just painted a really good painting.
Oh
And
yeah,
so I found some Star Wars ones and sent them to like for her, and they kept her occupied for months because they were so like the numbers were so small. But
right.
so like what was great was then I could put something on the TV that she wasn't necessarily too interested in or didn't need to follow, and so she'd just sit there and just kind of like paint by numbers and stuff like that. And so we've got these lovely kind of paint by numbers paintings that we framed and that around the house now, and she's really proud of them. And I'm just like, what a great way of kind of doing something to to try
That
and
is
it's trying to find those kind of, like you said, those that happy medium compromise, isn't it? You know,
100%.
yeah. So
100%.
yeah. But then actually, I suppose in some respects, I was lucky because I met Karen through doing like the
Yeah.
costuming with Rebel Legion and that. So already knew she was kind of, she was into the kind of community and stuff like that. And having had a relationship where my ex-wife was like not interested at all. So it becomes an issue when you want to go away for 3 days to a convention, or
Sure.
you want to do a midnight screening and stuff. But like now, at least she understands it and tolerates it enough that she won't come to a probably midnight screening now. She's because I'll wipe her out for the next couple of days. But but she'll be fine to then come to like the next screening that like the next day that I go to or something like that. So we can
gotcha.
make it work. That's how you do it.
So
You know.
no, you're good. So with you being an industry professional, as
That's
Mark,
I
I
am.
believe is, yeah, you
Yes.
are. I was reading that in Production Weekly,
Okay.
Mando 4 and
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew 2 have shown up on Production Weekly.
Interesting. Yeah. Do you know, I've just started seeing that today, like stuff floating around on the social media sphere. Now, like I think for some people were kind of expecting this film, like the Mando film, to kind of be season 4,
Correct.
to the point whereby I think there's been some like vloggers and stuff kind of saying, "Oh, it's probably just going to be 4 episodes that are going to just be stitched together." Of that, but I'm just like, I don't think so, my friend. I think you've kind of got that all wrong.
I think I'm not an insider. Obviously,
No.
I'm just one guy who talks Star Wars with my friends. But it seems like with the transitions going on at
Yeah.
Lucasfilm and Disney, and Filoni having so much passion for that Mandoverse, Ahsokaverse, whatever it is that we used to say that it was the MCU of Star Wars was coming together with all these things they were putting.
That's what we were for. Yeah.
I really think Skeleton Crew and the Mando series and the Ahsoka series and maybe a few other ones are looking to come together into that.
Yeah.
And so I think the movie was a standalone. Hey, let's go do this movie, and maybe it teases into Ahsoka 2. It teases into Mando 4. It teases into Skeleton Crew 2. All those kind of things, and brings them all back together. I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, I think for one thing that works in Mando's favor is I think you could totally have a standalone like movie or story, and it can just exist, be itself,
Yeah.
Or it could set up the next phase, shall we say, using MCU kind of terminology, the next phase of Star Wars MCU and that. But that's the thing, because I really feel that out of those 3 that you said, probably the outlier kind of is Ahsoka in terms of the tone. The tone of Ahsoka is slightly different, but I think you could get the tone to really match really well between Skeleton Crew and Mando. I think those 2 kind of feel like they could complement each other. And to be fair, Ahsoka could as well, because Ahsoka's, it's just that vibe of that show as we left it. And obviously we don't know what they've gone back and maybe tweaked with the story and the pacing and everything else for season 2. That we'll find out when we see it. But that's fine. I think because I've, like you, I lived through the whole EU, and we
Mm-hmm.
lived in that post Return of the Jedi era for so long, and didn't kind of go back and start. There were a few kind of like novels that jumped back into the OT era. I think some of the Mara Jade stories from Timothy Zahn, they kind of,
Yep.
went back. But for the most part, we have lived in a post Return of the Jedi era, really, for a lot of the storytelling up, from like 90 to like 2000 and something, before, well, really until Disney bought it. So
Right.
I'm fine with it, and I like the fact that they are trying to connect to the sequel trilogy through this time period. I think it's
I'm
genius, and
fine
they're
with
not
it.
doing it really quickly. It seems like they're just enough breadcrumbs. It's all we need.
We've talked about it before. The Clone Wars helped the prequel trilogy
Yeah,
work. And there were a lot of things about the sequels that I had a hard time with. So if
sure.
you can help me put some training wheels on the bike I'm on to get me to the sequel trilogy
Yeah.
with the Mandoverse, I'm all for that. And
Yeah.
it'll help soften the blow and make that more digestible.
I mean, I
So,
just think if all it does is just answer the somehow Palpatine returned, which I think really is probably the biggest one, the rest of it's okay. I mean, it would be great if we could maybe get more stories from like Luke Skywalker and that. But you kind of, and this was something me and Mark were talking about. I think we talked about it actually on an episode, or it might have been before or after record, but it all blurs into one.
yeah.
It's this notion of like, at some point or another, if you want to tell these stories, you're going to have to really do a recast, because I know, as an industry professional, even I'm using it now. Like, as much as let's the deep fake and the AI machine learning and
Right.
like image generation is coming on leaps and bounds. It's not. I don't think it's ready to support like doing a AI Han, Luke, and Leia just to
Yeah.
keep their likenesses, and you kind of wonder like how many people now would accept it. Having we kind of tested the waters a little bit with Solo, and I think because it was too close in the timeline to Harrison Ford. But like, if we're talking post Return of Jedi, and we're talking, well, Harrison Ford is 80 plus now. It's not gonna happen. Then I think people would, if you weigh it up, do you want a recast and stories with these characters, or just no recast? Then
Right.
and I don't mean like we need to have a continuous Skywalker saga, but I mean like having them drop in a little bit into maybe the Mandoverse, because you kind of feel like, oh, that scene in Ahsoka when she's with the New Republic and 3PO comes in, but you're like, oh, you kind of want to see Leia. You feel like Leia's
Yes.
missing, and that really from that whole kind of thing. And I think sometimes if you're going to dance around these stories, her exclusion is going to be more off-putting than the inclusion with like a recast or something, or
Yep. No, I agree.
There you go. Sorry, I
No,
just repeated
no, you're
myself.
good. Well, okay, we're going to keep this a little bit short. Like I said, I got some things on
You
my
got stuff to
to-do
do.
list here. And you need to go start your weekend. But we've talked about shows that you watch, shows that I watch, things like that. So I like to end it with a little off Star Wars topic for
Okay.
you. One, are you watching Shrinking? The show Shrinking.
No. What's that on?
Okay.
What service?
It is on Apple TV.
That will be why. That is the only one that I don't
Okay.
subscribe to.
Well, I've told many of our listeners, Harrison Ford is fantastic in it. He plays an
Yeah.
elderly psychiatrist who's battling Parkinson's disease, I believe. He'll blow your mind. He's
Really?
fantastic.
Okay.
Like, and to tie it into Star Wars, I would just say you need to check that one out. And I know your love for the Chicago's, or is that your wife, your significant others?
One Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a show, and I don't know if you're watching this yet, but I'll throw it out there. The Pit on HBO.
No.
It is one day. The season is one day.
Okay.
in an emergency room in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Noah Wiley, who has played in other hospital shows. I think it was one with George Clooney. Can't remember the name of that show.
ER.
Yes, okay. But it is fantastic. They're only in season 2, so it's
Mhm.
on HBO Max. And I know with your love for those TV, hospital,
Procedural kind
fire,
of
police,
glossy,
yeah.
yeah,
This
nonsense.
is I don't watch those, but I got hooked. So if
Really?
you
Okay.
my suggestion for you are those 2 shows. If you get a chance to check them out, you will absolutely
I will
love
do
them.
that. Yeah, I will do that.
Yes.
I am. So what we just watched? So we just watched a second season of The Night Manager.
Okay. I've seen previews for that, but I've not watched it.
So yeah, that's very good. And actually, um, it's definitely kind of like going to be well, it's definitely a free season thing because
Okay.
it ends on a cliffhanger. But I mean the performances are great and it's a great kind of thriller kind of stuff. So we just watched that. We've just started because we do like it, and this is why we watch all these kind of like perennial shows. We do like a lengthy binge, kind of 5 or
Sure.
10 seasons. So we've just started watching SEAL Team
SEAL
with
Team. Okay.
David Boreanaz, or I'd never know how you pronounce his name. Angel from
Yeah.
Buffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about Navy SEALs basically. So it's guns and running around and stuff, and so
I will usually what I do is I show the first episode or 2 to my wife.
okay,
If I
yeah,
like it, she likes it, we go, "Okay, let's go."
yeah,
If after 1 or 2 episodes we look at each other and go, "It's not clicking," we usually
yeah.
stop.
We're the same. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I try and give it 4 episodes, but
Oh,
yeah, four episodes for me is like, especially for streaming, is I sometimes find is a sweet spot.
okay.
But if it's like I'm watching it and struggling by episode 4, and Karen's like completely checked out and she's on her phone, then it's like, well, this is a non-starter. And
Okay.
but also it's trying to find the subject matter. So, are you watching the new Game of Thrones series? Was it the Knight's
I've
Tale?
only watched 1 episode of Game of Thrones in my life.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
fair enough. So
it's
no,
yeah, my wife is not a big I mean, like, I'm like, "Okay, I wanna go try it because it seems like it would fit," but she's like, "It just doesn't." And a show like that, if you're both not committed to it, how hard is it to go find that many hours in a day to
you
go
can't.
watch that?
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, like, I watch WWE on Sunday evenings and stuff
Mhm.
because Karen's upstairs doing like what she calls the admin, which is basically the laundry and stuff, doing the ironing and stuff. But she's happy to do that because that gives her time to then sit and watch like whatever Netflix stuff that she wants to watch, right?
Sure.
On like Emily in Paris and all that kind of stuff, which I kind of dip in and out, but I'm just like, this is just dreadful, So,
I
but it's
got
fine
you.
because I get to watch my own sweaty man soap opera,
Okay.
So
Oh gosh. Not another one that I've jumped into either, but no,
have you
I
not?
appreciate it.
You never been into wrestling?
No,
Not even as a kid? No,
no.
that's
Skipped
fair
right
enough.
by me.
See, listen, Newbold, me and Newbold, like Newbold's again, he's like a walking encyclopedia of like wrestling,
I can
So
almost I
you
can
can imagine,
imagine that right now. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm waiting for the encyclopedia that he's gonna write. So
yeah.
yeah, he probably could do that. But well, Mark, hey, I appreciate it. We're
I
gonna
do.
get this on the regular schedule.
Yes,
I love it. Just you and me. Let's get it to where Mr. Newbold joins us from time to time, and we will add this in on the regular beat. If you guys ever need me on Fantha Tracks or making tracks, let me know. Be more than happy to join.
do you know what? It's been a cardinal sin because I said we're going to get you on at the end of the year, and we didn't, and then but we will. I mean, because like you've been so gracious with us having us on this. So yes, we will get you back on definitely. Maybe we'll get, like I said, maybe we'll do some kind of reaction chatty type stuff as well for like maybe Maul as well.
Maul.
Yeah.
Maul
So
and Mando and Grogu. We could put some things together. So
let's do it. Yeah.
you got it. You got it. Well, I appreciate your time. To our
And
followers and listeners, go check out Mark Newbold, Mark Mulcaster with Making Tracks, Fantha Tracks. They're a little bit of everywhere, and they're a great listen. They're a great read, all that kind of stuff. So go check them out. We appreciate them. We're gonna We're going to try this one, call it Bits and Bobs. We might change the title later on, but that's it. That's for our discretion. We'll decide that later. But it's been great, Mark. Thanks. Enjoy your weekend. And to everybody out there, thanks so much. And may the force be with you.
And with you.